Well, hi, good morning, and welcome to my shop. Thank you so much for joining me here, keeping me company. It's June 18th, and it's a steamy hot day outside already. But not extra. Don't want you to think it's extraordinary heat here. It's just hot and humid, like it gets every summer. Just a little early in the year for it. So, yesterday I aligned the IF transformers. They didn't need much adjustment at all, and I aligned the broadcast band and got an excellent result, a really excellent result. So I'm looking forward to doing the same thing with the shortwave band. Now there's not much to aligning the shortwave band. There's actually two bands on this radio. One of them is the police band. It runs from just above the AM broadcast band up to, well, on this radio up to about 4.5 megahertz, something like that. There's nothing there. A radio like this is never going to hear anything on that band. So I'm inclined to just skip it because there's nothing to hear anyway, and concentrate on the main shortwave band that runs from 6 megahertz, the 49 meter band, all the way up to 15 megahertz, the 19 meter band. So that's what I want to focus on. So I think the first thing I need to do is read the instructions. That would be a good idea. Let's do that. Okay, so this is the one I'm skipping, the police band, and coming down to number 5 here. It says set switch at shortwave, counterclockwise. I'm going to make sure of these things while we're doing this. Yes, I already did that. Pointer at 15 megacycles, more or less. We can make it exact when the time comes. The thin line on the dial marking the edge of the 19 meter band. Yeah, that's where I have it set. Feed 15,000 kilocycles or 15 megacycles, and align the shortwave oscillator furthest from front at left. Okay. Furthest from front at left. Now it doesn't say it's a headless screw, so I think it must be referring to one of the screw ones. We're at the high end of the band. It's going to be a capacitor. Choosing the minimum capacity peak. This has me worried a little bit. Choosing the minimum capacity peak. So we would potentially tighten down the capacitor all the way, and then start loosening it off and see a peak go by, but keep going for another peak. Yeah, I'm very worried that there's only going to be one peak, and this isn't going to work. And then the antenna nearest front at the right, choosing the maximum capacity peak. So in this case you would open it up and then close it down, skipping the first peak and stopping at the second. Again, I'm worried there's only going to be one peak. The receiver is now completely aligned. And down here is this note, general instructions. Always choose the minimum capacity peak on oscillator trimmers and maximum capacity peaks on antenna trimmers. The last motion in adjusting trimmers should always be a tightening one, not a loosening one. This is really, really good advice. Okay, let's go ahead and do this. So I'm going to have to warm up some equipment here. Might as well get it going. And the radio 2. Are we set here? I think so. Okay, I don't have the ground connection made here. Give me something to ground this on. Well, we can use the other antenna wire. I don't have to look at the schematic and see what I'm actually. Let's do that. Let's take a peek at the schematic and look at the how the antenna is fed into the radio here. Here. So there's 2 wires hanging out the back of the antenna. They don't appear clearly here. One of them is certainly this. And would the other one be this? But they show it connected. I think this is a permanent ground inside the radio. I don't know what that other wire is hanging out. We'll have to take a look at and see what's going on with this wire. I've got the radio operating, and I do not like to tip these while they're operating. Let me just turn the power off momentarily. The antenna connections are here. So we've got one wire here and the other wire here. Neither one is going right to ground. This one's going to the top of this resistor stack. This might be a ground point. It's got a red wire on it though. Let's take a look. This capacitor, the trap capacitor, is right across all this. This is probably just maybe a trap coil here for the IF trap coil. Could that be the case? And then looks like it would be in parallel with the antenna. So this antenna is the way I've got it connected, and I can't relate it to the schematic. So let's go back and look at the schematic. We'll look for this connection over to the resistor here. How's that work? Or better yet, the radio's off. Is any of these shorted? Are any of these shorted rather? Like that one. We're getting some pretty strange readings there. Why is it like that? I'm holding still. Apparently not holding still enough. There's a screw here, it's loose. I was not pointing at my head. Okay. Just me holding when I was holding the leads. Ooh. How come this suddenly dropped? Don't know what happened there. For a moment this went to zero, or close to it. Well, I think it's just one of those things. Okay, so we're looking to see if there's a ground on either of these leads. So I'm just going to put this on the chassis. We get a pretty close to zero there. that's probably reading through the coil. It would appear that this terminal is grounded here, but I don't see the actual ground connection. Okay, let's look at this arrangement again in the schematic. So, so this is the trap, and one side of the trap should be grounded. That's probably what I'm measuring, even though it's not quite a zero on the meter. So both wires are extended out of the radio from here and from here. So one is the ground going here. Oh, for crying out loud! Measure that with my own meter. Yes, for crying out loud was the phrase my parents went to all the time when they were upset. Well, for crying out loud, Jim. Jimmy? Yeah. So read the resistance to the chassis from the different wires. There's the 17, and the other one, this is going to be the 0 or nearly so. Yeah. So when you look at the two wires, one is slightly lighter than the other one. Actually, the ground is a long black piece here. Okay, remember it that way. Long black piece is the ground. Okay. Okay. This should do the job, coming from the signal generator. Okay, we can flip this back down. Turn it back on. So an alternative method here, because it's 2024 now and not 1948, is I have an SDR radio, and it'll display on my computer screen a frequency display, and we can actually receive the local oscillator and see it on the display. So I can tell if the local oscillator is above or below the target frequency. Now somehow I thought it was this radio I'm working on where there's a clear statement made about the local oscillator, but I guess it's the last radio. Must have had a clear statement because I wasn't able to find it. The last radio was written right in the yeah, that's right, it was the other radio because there were 4 bands involved. I remember it said very clearly the local oscillator is above the target frequency on all bands. So the SDR can be very helpful with that situation. 74 volts on the radio. That's probably not enough. Very, very quiet. Of course, I have the signal generator connected here. Okay, let's get the tuning right on 15. Oh, it is. It's dead on. Dead on the line here. Volume's right full. Let's just turn it down a bit. Oh, look where I'm a little off on the frequency here. 15. Moderate signal. Got nothing. Oh. Oh. What happened there? Now that ticking, I don't know if you noticed, but the ticking was going. The usual interference I had. Tick, 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 tick. As usual, it's me who's ticking. And then if I ground myself, do you see what I'm doing? I'm holding my hand close to the antenna here, not touching it, and then I'm just grabbing something that's grounded. I am the source of the noise. Is it my pacemaker? Is it my pacemaker doing that? Okay, just making observations every opportunity I get. Are we definitely on the right band? Yes. That's a shortwave band. We're definitely tuned to 15. I didn't hear a thing come out of this. Oh, God. Can't be that weak. Let's try it again. Oh my gosh, this is nothing. Something crazy going on here? Oh. That's right. We need the... That's right. I was in the middle of calibrating this when I noticed the ticking. $1,000 tone. Something funny going on here. This isn't right. Something's not right. What is not right? Boy, after such success with the broadcast band, I gotta kind of wonder what's happening here. So we're running at still very low voltage, you know, at only 80 volts. Let's take it up to the proper voltage, because maybe that's all it is. Just turn that down a little bit. Okay, now we're gonna run with... Where'd the ticking go? It's there. Something else starting to break down now, I think. That popping sound? I was worried about last time that it was. We're only at 100 volts. Okay, this is a little exciting. Let's see if we can get, before it explodes, let's see if we can get... Something really weird going on here. This is a very strong signal now. Let me turn the volume down. We'll disconnect the ground wire here. Disconnecting the ground wire is just a long shot. Well, I thought we've heard this radio work. Let's try a totally different frequency down here. So we've heard it work way down here at 9, around 9. Oh my gosh, it's trying to receive right now.
Most fishermen who are engaged in the relief work have left their daily work.
The antenna is that.
As something to spontaneous runtime initiative, we are doing...
The antenna is my...
These were poor people themselves.
Just kind of quit at some point. It just went dead. Well, that's not too good. Well, we can't align it at 15. There's nothing there. So we'll just align it somewhere else. Why not the middle of the band? Probably for reasons of precision, maybe? I don't know. Let's go down here. I'm going to put it on 10. Look at WWV. Use that. So the pointer's right on 10 megahertz now. Do I have the ground connected? I do not. Let's put the ground on. That will probably silence the radio here. Basically, it's a short circuit. Now, we'll dial up 10. Turn it back. Turn it back. 10. 11, 4, 13. 10, 5. So we're picking it up in two places, which is typical of these radios. They have a problem with what's called image rejection. So you have your local oscillator frequency here, and you have your target frequency. And you're moving this around until there's 400, and in the case of this radio, 456 kilohertz between the target frequency and your local oscillator. When you get there, the 456 goes through the IF and comes out the speaker. But what if there's another signal over here? It's the same 456 separation. If there's another signal here, you're going to hear it. Well, it gets suppressed by the front end tuning of the radio. But in a radio like this, where it has a large band like this, the front end tuning is never very sharp. And at high frequencies, 456 kilohertz is not far when you're talking about 15 megahertz. And so you have this response curve, and you're positioning the response curve over top of the target frequency. I can see it's coming down. This is the local oscillator. And so the accidental frequency, which is sitting over here, is suppressed. But it's not suppressed like that. It's suppressed like this. It's barely suppressed. That's the problem with these radios. So you wouldn't even know it necessarily that you've tuned into the image of a strong signal unless you go hunting for it, double the IF away. So 900, around 900 kilohertz away, you find the same signal again. So this guy's been popping away the whole time I've been talking. And I have it dialed right up on 10, so I forgot totally what I was doing. So it looks like there's one there. Another. Now those two things were 900 kilocycles apart, those two signals. One of them is the one we want. The instructions have to do with adjusting the trimmer capacitor. And the instructions, let's just get it clear here. The instructions said, I'm going to read them again here, just the key part. The key part is choosing the minimum capacity peak and align the shortwave oscillator furthest from front at left, choosing minimum capacity peak. So tighten it down and then back it up and watch these peaks go by. So first thing we need to do, it's not in the right spot to begin with. It's way off. Well, I think I can adjust that adjustment. We can find the second peak, and then we'll move the second peak to the right spot. That's the way to do it, I think. So, furthest, what did it say? I don't want to do the wrong one now. Furthest from the front at left. I hope the radio doesn't break down before I get this done. And I'm doing this one by ear. I should really have the voltmeter going, but so tightening it down, forsaking where it's tuned. It's pretty tight to begin with. Okay, going back. That's one. Here, go by. Went by pretty quick. Remember I said I'd be worried there'd be only one peak? Oh, there's the other one. That's peak number 2. Instructions are choosing the minimum capacity peak. So this would be the minimum capacity peak unless there's another one. There shouldn't be. Let's go up and look. No. Okay, so we're going down because we're supposed to tighten it like at the right peak. This is the right peak in the wrong spot. Now we're going to move this peak to the right spot. Going to move this in the direction we want to go. 10, really? Did I move this again? Wow, we're trying to tune 10. We're actually tuning 11.5. This is miles out. Probably on the wrong peak if somebody aligned it and they didn't do this right. Okay, in the direction we want to go. Okay, now we got to find it. Which way? Tightening a bit. There it is. Okay, so I went past it. So I'm going to do what I call the hopscotch thing. I don't know why I call it that. One passes the other over and over. This is 90 miles down. I don't think we're going to get there. I'm at 11. How am I ever going to get there? Just keep tightening it. It's not very tight. Oh, wrong way. Oh, we're getting there. Ooh, it really got quick now. Getting pretty tight. It's basically cranked down as tight as I can get it. Went a little too far. Use a different. That's about as close as where we're going to get right there. It's, like if we put this on 10 and then find it with the dial. Hey. Okay. There's one more thing to do then. So we have it in the right spot. Let's just turn this off here. Very sensitive. The antenna. Doing the antenna, but I don't really have a real antenna hooked up. I did not put a dummy in there. So which one is the antenna? The antenna is nearest front at right. This one here. Let's turn it a bit and see what happens. This won't retune the radio, just make it stronger or weaker. Use a stiff screwdriver. Ooh, I don't like it when nothing happens. Always makes me think, oh, you've got the wrong one, man. Read it again. Antenna nearest front at right. Choosing maximum capacity peak. So we don't really have a proper antenna here to do this with. Make it a little more proper. 390 ohms. It's trying its best to receive stuff. Is it going to make any difference? Somehow I don't think it'll make any difference at all. Okay, tuning carefully. Looking for that peak. Of course, I'm not at 15, you know, maybe that's a problem. Oh no! That didn't make any difference at all. What? I hope it's not affecting something else. Why am I doing that? I brushed against this and it seemed to me the radio went quieter and stayed quieter. Another useless observation. Well, let's see how well this is working. I'm gonna have to put on. Let's take this off. Okay, leave that like that. Now, I'm not sure if this is antenna is switched on or not. It doesn't go completely dead here anymore. We're not picking anything up, so maybe the antenna is not switched. I'll go down around 9, where that strong station is.
God is the main of the Bible. It's mentioned thousands of times. Thousands. Yet this three-person God can't be found to be saying anything or doing anything.
Now you heard some distortion there from the loud volume. That's probably the weak bias battery doing that. Okay, I'm going to go and flip on the antenna and we'll see how much better this gets.
Trickster God fashioned after image.
Well, I hit the antenna switch. It's at the other side of my house, and I could hear this radio booming through my house here.
And hiding among the pages of Scripture. And they're going to discover the big secret that he was there all along.
I turned up and hear some distortion.
It's a pretty sick way to approach the Bible, but that's what they do.
Yeah, quite clear that it's distorted. And
And
that's
so when you come
probably from that bias battery. Lack of.
there's a number of passages.
Okay, we're running the radio right now with only 99 volts.
And there's
And you
nobody
can
but
hear that
me.
constant breakdown sound.
I'm God. I'm it.
Okay, let's see what else we can find here.
Also,
Something weaker, then we'll try that antenna adjustment.
clima extremo sigue azotando Bonaparte estadounidense. 70 millones de personas permanecen bajo alerta debido a un aumento inusual de calor que afecta principalmente a la región del Atlántico Medio y Nueva Inglaterra, donde los termómetros registran temperaturas por encima de los 40 grados centígrados. Esta situación ha hecho que las autoridades de algunas ciudades como Washington, D.C., Nueva York y Boston desplieguen varios de los programas de contingencia diseñados por sus administraciones para atender este tipo de emergencias, tales como refugios climatizados, buses gratuitos.
I think it's making a very slight difference.
Como parte de estas medidas, el alcalde de la ciudad de Nueva York, Eric estarán abiertos a partir de hoy y esperamos alcanzar el calor máximo el jueves y viernes con un índice de calor posiblemente
There's
alcanzando
two
los
voices?
37 grados centígrados. Especialistas como Ted Whitlock del Servicio Meteorológico Nacional.
I'm not sure what was happening there. Nothing to do with the radio, I don't think.
Tarde y también
So this is a European band here.
prestar importancia a estar bien hidratado.
13, around 13 megahertz.
En Nuevo México reportaron
Mexico. It's a European band, but there's North American broadcasting going on it. Hear a little bit of teletype, faintly there. Okay, going up to the 20-meter band.
Que la temporada de huracanes de este año será una de las más intensas de las que se tenga registros.
Yeah.
Algunas zonas cercanas al Golfo de México actualmente están en alerta de la
I think this is an image here.
provocar inundaciones repentinas, mientras que en California los bomberos aún siguen trabajando en un incendio forestal reportado durante el fin de semana en las
Pretty sure this is Radio Marti, strong transmitters sending signals into Cuba from the United States to give them the American truth.
Un espacio de entrevistas sobre los temas más destacados y que generan polémica.
Fading out.
Just spent some time with me, and he's over here making notes. I said, well, I'll remember
You probably
that.
never thought of it.
Well, Jan, I want to pull you into that because, again, between the male and female can be as different as Chinese is from English.
That's right.
So how do you teach young women, and women of all ages, to better communicate with their husbands that don't speak their language?
Yeah, but that thing of changing the language to the wants or desires is a mind blower about how that is heard by your mate, and it changes their ability to hear you. So if I'm in my fearful posture, I could say, you know, why are you throwing that away? Or, I want that because I had a plan for that.
What if you're throwing away something that's important to
Yeah,
me?
what if you're throwing it? But if I can say, I'm bothered by that, but that's okay because I have asked you for help in that area. Something like that. But it diffuses it. But, you know, a big part of what the women really struggle with is criticism. So we have that thing that we can turn anything into a critical
Well,
statement.
that's the shame part. And women do it more than men.
Yeah.
It's been proven.
Self-shaming. Oh, wrong way. It's gotten quite weak now, I think. Well, other than acting as a Geiger counter, it's in really good shape. I'm going to guess that breakdown is inside one of these tubes, and trying to I could go through, try replacing them, all that kind of stuff, but until it fully breaks down, it's pretty hard to track down. My God, this isn't a real Geiger counter, is it? Could that be? Cosmic rays passing through one of these tubes is causing this effect? Oh, fat. No, no. I have a lot of trouble believing that. Huh. Yeah, so cosmic rays don't come in crowds like that. Okay, there's no real reason to think that this is a Geiger counter, the radio here. But this is a real Geiger counter. If there's this kind of radiation, if this was due to radiation, I gotta get out of this room. Here's a real one. It's very quiet, unfortunately. I don't know if I can. Sound. Alarm sound. Particle sound. I'll hold this up near the microphone. You can hear the rate at which this is clicking versus the radio. First, this is what. Let me put this right up here. Okay, I'll turn up the radio here. Okay, it's kind of crazy what I'm doing, frankly. But you know, this is how discoveries are made. Well, maybe not this, this particular way. So typically it's 12 counts. Usually this says around 12. I guess that's microservits per hour is what this usually comes up to. See, it says 17 right now, but in the long run it'll settle down around 12 or so, unless there's something in here that's radioactive. Some of these tubes have radioactive elements in them, but I think it's very minor radioactivity, and it's tied away in a tube, and I don't think it's going to affect my guy. But I do have a radio, not in here, but one with a dial that is radioactive. This hasn't got any kind of thing on it. Radium paint. I got nothing in here with radium paint on it. I don't think I have anything in here. No use even looking. So anyway, interesting notion that this is a Geiger counter, but very, very unlikely. Okay, what to do? Well, I think I'm done. I think it's back into the cabinet now. Because I can do a couple of things here. Let's do this. If I pull the grid off, so let's see, the signal is going this way. If I pull this off, there's no audio in the radio, and we shouldn't hear it. I'll scare myself here. The volume's right down. Come on off of there. Come on, just pop off. It's just hanging on. Still hear the popping. So what that implicates, I'm going to turn the radio off for a moment. That implicates the power supply. So, and that would implicate the rectifier tube. The output tube is still sitting there operating. Incidentally, the schematic calls for a 6F6, and this is a 6V6. I was going to say, where'd the popping go? We're down on a low voltage here. Ooh, there she goes. That's a pretty good sign that it's a breakdown. The voltage supply to the radio would have nothing to do with, cosmic rays from outer space. So, well, that's not necessarily true.
Están directamente involucrados con la actividad cotidiana oficial en los comandos venezolanos. Gente que está haciendo su trabajo y que está comprometido con el cambio. Obviamente esto es una señal de que el régimen sabe que ha perdido todo apoyo, que no le queda gente y lo que quieren es asustar.
So I'm checking the level of distortion. The distortion's only if it is due to bad biasing. It means you can get away with a certain level of signal, and then beyond that you start hearing the distortion. A little bit of distortion doesn't bother people. I think it's fine. Yeah, I'm going to fill a room here and have a party with this radio.
Que aún ni siquiera ha comenzado formalmente. Se trata de crear un ambiente hostil antes mismo del inicio de la campaña.
The idea that the breakdown we're hearing is occurring inside a tube, it's quite likely that's what it is, but not necessarily. It could be a resistor, it could be something else we can't even imagine right now. So even going fishing for it among all these tubes, all I'm doing is putting the radio at some level of risk while I do that. So I hate to do it, but I think I just gotta leave it like this, popping.
futbolísticos más antiguos del mundo.
Ultimately, what will happen?
El desafío de nuestra selección.
I don't know. The popping is just going to continue like this forever and never get worse or better, or it's going to get progressively worse. I doubt it would get better. It would get worse because of carbon tracking and other things further degrading inside whatever it is that's making the popping sound. So the rate of the popping sound is going to increase, and at some point it would become intolerable, or instead of it being a breakdown, it'll become a connection. And at that point, the problem will become much more apparent. Its location, at least.
Chile, en aquella final frente a Argentina, que llega como actual campeona y que con 15 Copas América ganadas jugará el partido inaugural ante la joven selección de Canadá.
Okay, I think I'm done here. I got to put it back in the cabinet.
Aunque hay otras selecciones que podrían, como
Isn't
por
that the
ejemplo la
on-off switch?
renovada Colombia, la
No. It's settling down to around 14 microsieverts per hour. That's the average. Well, that's typical for here in my house. 12, 14, somewhere in that range. Okay. I'll put it in the cabinet. We'll take a look. That's the same station in two places on the dial. Radio Marti, right next to each other. It's kind of odd in a way. Okay, that's great. Now let's try the broadcast band. Just receiving, like a lot of radios would not receive a station here. Has a lot to do with the antenna. I'm using an excellent antenna. That's perfect.
That can disable the rear view cameras. The recall covers Jeep Compass, Grand Cherokee.
Users, which by the way they say heavy cannabis use has gone through the roof since legalization, which you would expect. And they said that this is, you're right, internal research by Health Canada. They say that drug-impaired driving is now commonplace. Very sad. For years and years, you and I have lived through that. How many campaigns by Mothers Against Drunk Driving, the television advertisements, heartfelt appeals from victims' families.
more to do with the people around him. Back in the 80s, I was with a bunch of friends. We were at a party in Newmarket. The driver got hammered. I didn't even have a license, and I just put a car.
It's a lot of impaired driving stories on the radio.
Vacation in Paris, Roma, and Barcelona. She said when you book with Sell Out Vacations like she did, you can bundle hotels and flights and save the big bucks.
In NBA history, what, last year, 2 years ago, whatever
That's
it was.
Buffalo.
And he was, they were paying for that. He was, the Celtics were. The NBA, like, oh my gosh, you know.
Well, that's a thumbs up on that radio. So this radio is actually one of the neatest ones I've had. It has a real classic look to it. This Tombstone style radio. And here's one that's in great shape. A few scuff marks. That disappears with just a little bit of furniture cleaning effort. This is a wonderful radio. The reception's fantastic on it. The sound is great. Yeah, wow. I'd say of radios of this sort, this one should command the top dollar. What that would be, I don't really know, to be honest with you. What a radio like this is worth. What would somebody be willing to pay for that? Knowing that it's working, it has a classic look. It's not so big it takes over your house, but it is a fair size, so it would be a commanding piece if you put it in your living room or something. People are going to ask about it. Well, what's that? I don't know. I don't know what it's worth. I don't even want to try to put a price on it. Radios like this, people try to get $500 for it. I know that. and maybe more. It's fantastic. Well, but it's not my radio, and it's on its way to a store in Toronto. So thanks a lot for watching this video. I've got to figure out what my next project's going to be. I think I'm going to shift gears quite a bit and try something that I'm not going to be terribly comfortable with, but I think that's what's next on deck. Thanks a lot for watching the series, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye.